Thank you. The boost. Baruch Hashem Rabbi Yisai, learning the heilige Likutei Moharan. Let's mamish jump right in. Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. I am the Lord your God, Asher Tzeisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim mebeis avodim, that took you out of the land of Egypt, mebeis avodim. Just important as a side note, the first 4 Torahs in Likutei Moharan begin with the letter Aleph. The first 4 Torahs in Likutei Moharan begin with the letter Aleph, and the Kabbalah books explain that there were 4 fallen Alephs from the beginning of creation, corresponding to all the Olamas. And these 4 fallen Alephs have to be picked up. It's up to you and I to pick them up. The Soifa Tevis of the first 4 words, the last letters spell out Ya'ir, to illuminate. That Likutei Moharan came to the world to illuminate. To illuminate. And to bring light into those dark places and to lift up the fallen things of the world and pick up the broken pieces and put us all back together again. And therefore to be aware that you and I are going through this journey of picking up the fallen alephs, the fallen alphin of our life, and to make the journey back up the 4 spiritual worlds, all the way up to what's called Atik, the Torah of Atik. And we said that Reb Nachman was here to bring us the Torah of Atik, which is the Torah of Mashiach, which is the Torah of healing, which is the Torah of love. And Bezrat Hashem, that we're going to be able to spread that love all around the world, and that healing all around the world. We'll go purist on this one. Thank you. So says the Rebbe, Kisha'adam yoideh, when a person knows, b'yediyah berura, with absolute clarity, or in the shahakal. Thank you very, very much. And thank you to the Gabbai, Rabbi Yosef, for bringing the Shefa Pods Mamish. Shefa, Hatzlacha, alle gute Sachen. Thank you. So when a mensch knows mamish, kisha adam yoideh, when he knows with absolute clarity, and he knows this deep inside of his kishkas. Kishkas is Yiddish for kishkas. He knows in his kishkas, shekol me'oyroisav, that every single thing that happens to him that seems to be so terrible and so horrible, which we'll get to what these things are. Things that are happening, nezik, yisurim, challenges for the body, addictions, anxieties, mental health challenges, things that other people would do to a person, Hashem Yirachim, and all of the above. Heim l'toivasai. They are for his good. Now, a person can't say, well, buddy, I'm just going to steal from you. It's for your good. He has to obey what the Torah says, which says don't steal. But if this person was stolen from, or if this person stubbed his toe, then Hashem has a major plan. And this Torah is going to go into the kishkas of this plan. There's going to be 4 main categories of things that these, what you would think are horrible and terrible things, that they're coming to help us. The first category is to bring a person to tshuva. If a guy is not doing tshuva, he's not returning to God, that's a big problem. So Hashem will put certain things in motion to pull a person back in tshuva, to return to God. That's number 1, to come back in tshuva. Number 2, it's good you can make a list of these 4 things. Number 2, to do a kapara on his avoinus. If a person did certain things, and he needs to have a forgiveness of that. One time I woke up in the morning, I went to go get my bike as normal, and I saw that the bike battery was conveniently missing, and the chain was cut. Oy. So I had, these things are heavy, I had to schlep it all up to the bike repairman. That happens to be the bike repairman that's closest to my house is a Sephardish Yid. And he's from the Abu Chatzera family. He could have been, they say, like one of the Babas. But he decided to very, low-key, just fix bikes. He's always got arak with him. And he fixes bikes. Man. So I walk up to him and I say, okay, so my bike battery was stolen. This is like, kapara lecha, Baruch Hashem. You don't have to deal with it later. Up there. I was like, it's easy for you to say. You're getting 2,000 shekel out of this. But is he right? Is he right? Yes. Pasha. We don't know. Now, is that a very inconvenient? Do I really know? I think with Hashem's help, the deeper we go into this Torah, we'll be able to really understand events like this and what they all mean. So that's number 2, as a kapara on things that we've done in our life.
How is that different from tshuva?
Tshuva here is to course correct somebody.
And kapara is just taking it.
It means that you might have had to pay for this later. We're making you pay for something now.
So it's forced tshuva.
I mean, tshuva is its own thing. They're all interwoven. Tshuva is its own thing. Tshuva means you got to do something. You need to change course. For example, if God forbid a kid is running into the street and the parent goes over and grabs the kid, it hurt me, ma. Well, you were running into the street. We had to course correct you from getting out of the street.
That was voluntary. Isn't that more kapara?
It could also be a kapara, but hopefully the zitz reminds the kid now, you can't die. You have to stay alive. And the kid, that's the tshuva. It's like, oh, I have to stay alive. Like, this is not pasha to run into a street. That's a part of tshuva. Because I'm returning from being a run into the street type of a kid and returning to being a I want to stay alive type of kid. That's tshuva.
Yeah, it's common sense, right?
We hope.
It's still kapara, if you try to do tshuva later on.
Yes, it's a kapara. Even though we want everything. Because if a person doesn't do tshuva, he might need more kaparas, more zetzim, and that's not what we want. We want him to get the message.
And isn't it?
That's expensive.
It's Rahmanos if the kapara is here instead of later.
Yeah, this is Hem L'Toivasai. L'Toivasai. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, Oy Lahar B'Yischar B'Olam Haba, to give you more reward in the world to come. I could have paid you for the things that you've done in this world. This is beautifully illustrated in the Derech Hashem, which really answers the question of why bad things happen to good people.
There are reverse kaparas?
There are, reverse
What does that
kaparas.
mean, reverse kapara?
Yeah, I had to think about the languaging for a second, but it's exactly it.
It's Rishon. They get paid good.
That's right. The Derech Hashem, and really based on the Gemara and Brachos, really addressing the question. Of course, it's much deeper than this. But once you live with this reality, you're in another world, and that is why do bad things happen to good people, and good things happen to bad people?
Good things are bad things.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, in the ultimate of it, but the way the Derech Hashem explains it is your question is starting from a flawed understanding of reality. Your question starts from all you have is one world. And in a one world reality, if God is just, so then when I put on tefillin, so, where's my Maybach? You know what I'm saying? And if a person does something he shouldn't do, so where's the lightning bolt? Yeah, that is understandable in a one world reality. But we don't live in a one world reality, we live in a two world reality. Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. Which means that Olam Haba and the Derech Hashem, the Ramchal, explains this, whose Yurtzeit is coming up. Yisoid should be Yisoid of the Sphira. Yisoid should be Yisoid. That in a two-world reality, the world to come, and this is based on the Gemara, and the Menachos also, that says that Ki beka Hashem tsur oilam. Beka Hashem, cause, Yud-Kei, Hashem, Yud-Kei, Vav-Kei, tsur oilam, Hashem fashioned the worlds, olamim, worlds. So the Gemara Menachos says, Beka Hashem, because Yud Nehei. Amen. That Hashem created the two worlds using the letters Yud and Hey. So the Gemara says that Olam Haba is created with a Yud. It's the smallest letter because it's a more select group of people. Olam Hazeh is created with the Hey. Why? Because the Hey has a big hole at the bottom. You could fall out. Whoop. But there's an entrance point at the top to get back in. That's tshuva. That's why Hey is the letter of tshuva, to go back up through the top. You fall it again, so come back in. So my Rebbe would always say that all of this world is you're doing hakafas around the Yud. Your mom is making hakafas. That's right, that's the Yud. It's a Dalet and a Yud. Or a Vav, different Kabbalah in Yonah. So you're going around making these hakafas. So you're going back in. But the idea of Olam Haba being the Yud means that there's a certain birur, there's a refinement process that a person should go to the world to come. That the world to come is going to be based on a person's merit. Isn't that called a meritocracy?
I feel like that's not.
Yes.
Meritocracy?
Oh, yes.
So the world to come is based on merit. And the merit of your free will. That you earned things, that you did something, and then ultimately the Derech Hashem says, it's not just because people don't appreciate being given a free lunch. So Hashem said, I'm going to make you work for it, because otherwise it's a free lunch. And therefore that wouldn't be the greatest good. It's deeper than that. Is that Hashem, the greatest good is to be close to God, your creator. So how could you be close to God? God was never given anything. He's the master of his perfection. So if you want to be like God, you need to also be the master of your perfection. You need to be similar to God. How would you become the master of your perfection? You would go through this world, refining yourself, making good decisions, becoming the master of your perfection, and overcoming the darker side, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, becoming the Ish Chayil, still in Torah Zayin, the Ish Chayil, and not a Shlamazelnik, and mamish make some moves in this world, the Siyata D'Shmaya. And by doing so, you become the Baal Hashlemis yourself. Now, because the world to come is a place of the ultimate connection to God, what about those people that still did a few things in this world that they shouldn't have done? Well, we don't want them to have to deal with that up there. So the people that are tzaddikim, but have done the thing here and there, Hashem will pay them back, kapara, in this world. But the, what did you say? Opposite kapara? Reverse? Inverse kapara. The inverse kapara of, let's say, somebody, sadly, his whole life was going against Hashem. So Hashem says, well, you did do a couple things. You did help that old lady cross the street like one time. Or at least you thought about it. And then took a person and ran away.
There's
But you thought of it.
Isn't that even worse? The fact that Hashem gave the gift of being able to think of doing such a holy action and you didn't even act on it.
It's horrible. I feel so bad for that guy.
But he thought about it.
He thought about it. There's a LIKUTEI Torah there. There is a spark.
thoughts don't
Instead
have
of
action
Torah.
Torah, though.
Man, we say Machshavah Tov Mitzvah L'maisa.
I think thoughts were good. Thoughts were good, right? If you think of a mitzvah, you
That's
get
right.
some sort of think of it, you don't do it, you don't.
It's not Mitzvah L'maisa.
But on the reverse, so if you do like a good action, for example, like helping this old lady, but inside yourself you're like, oh, I'm gonna be like late at my meeting, or she's like upsetting. Like, where do we put like the balance? Like the action or
So Rav Zevlev had a beautiful pshat. He said, Machshavah Tov Mitzvah L'maisa, beautiful taich in the Gemara. It doesn't say, people generally translate the Gemara to mean, Machshavah Tova, a good thought, is like nasekimai. It's like you did it. That's an example. I wanted to give tzedakah. I reached in my pocket. Oh, I forgot my wallet at home. So it's like, oh, you wanted to give tzedakah. It's like you gave tzedakah. It doesn't say that. It says machshava tova mitztarev. It joins a maisa. So if Zevlev said so beautifully. He said, what does it mean mitztarev l'maisa? He said, because there's other people in the world that they've done a maisa, but no machshava tova. So they were helping the old lady, and they're like, oh, I've got to get to work, and she's bothering me, and that old lady perfume I'm allergic to, and okay, I'll do it because aren't you supposed to do this? So he did the maisa, but didn't have machshava tova. This guy had machshava tova, but didn't do a maisa. So Hashem, in His wondrous wisdom, is organizing and unifying, mitztarev, all the machshava tovas in the world, all the maisas without the machshava tovas, He's unifying them in some wondrous way. And those people will meet up, and it'll be like a complete action, making all these tikkunim. Beautiful, beautiful. What do we see though in the inverse kapara? Is that there's such a thing of a person who did a few things in this world. So Hashem says, I'm going to pay you back in this world, but you're not going to have up there. So take your fancy cars and your yachts and whatever, and you're going to use it up. You're going to burn through that schus in this world, and you can't say that I never gave it to you. And that's why sometimes a person you see, sadly, evil, seems to have great success. So the Derech Hashem is explaining, and remember, this is a deep topic. Moshe Rabbeinu had difficulty with this topic. But the Derech Hashem is saying, if you could just live with a two-world reality, you're living in another place of understanding schar and einish. Yes.
Rabbi, as far as the reverse kapara goes, what's the story, I think, from the Gemara of Rabbi Shimon, where he takes like his Talmidim out to the forest and they're like a bunch of coins?
So Rav Shimon was giving shir, and he saw that the Talmidim were thinking about money. And he's like, oh, I see you guys want money. So they walked outside to the valley of Meron, and he said a couple words. And all of a sudden, the entire valley filled with gold coins. They're like, Rebbe, at $5,000 an ounce, gold is up, boys. So he says, you could go and take. Get involved. Just be aware, whatever you take now, you're not getting up there.
Oh, I wouldn't have taken any of it.
Maybe some good things that happen to good people also can potentially take away from this far, or
The better question is, why do good things happen to good people?
Oh,
Bad things happen to bad
Hashem,
people?
so we know that there's things where it says that you could be makabel star, but ve'akeren kayemis lo olam haba. The oicha we said every single day by Birkas HaTorah. Johnny was mama singing it this morning. It was so beautiful. Peresem she'oichel ba'olam hazeh ve'akeren kayemis lo olam haba. There's such a thing. What's the keren? Karen's always the principal. So there's the principal investment, and then there's the fruits that come out of the investment. So the principal would be like you own the business. What's the fruits of the business? All the money that's coming in, the revenue, the profits that are coming in. So there's such a thing of taking the cream off the top and enjoying the profits of a company, but still owning the company that will still make you and generate wealth for eternity. So there's such an idea, and that's the idea of being a tree, is the company, is the principle. And the yearly fruits, the yield is...
He conjured up the money in the valley, that
Yeah.
was only the trees.
That was the tree. He wasn't telling me this is the fruits.
Okay, no, then he should have made the fruits.
Speak to Reb Shimon.
When you do it, Rabbi, can you make us the fruits?
I'm just a simple schlepper.
Did any of them take?
I don't think they did.
But then
He scared them.
Isn't anything worth up in heaven like endlessly more? Like if you just took a couple mil of gold out of there, that would be nothing in the world to come.
So that's interesting. People think that every single what you'll have for eternity. People think like what's one Rashi? I'll learn every Rashi but one. Like what's one Rashi?
That's the one that makes you understand all the other ones.
Okay, so then you could see it like that, and you can understand that it's like saying, I want to get to know my wife, but I don't need to know everything about her. Every different part is another aspect of the relationship that would remain hidden for that person for eternity. Bless you. So this is real stuff. So that's number 3, the inverse kapara. Or in this case, to give you schar in the world to come, which we'll explain. There's a very deep piece here. This is based on the Gemara in Brachos, which is interesting. It's the same Gemara that we're learning at the 3 o'clock. There's a lot of Gemaras there on Daf Hey, Amud Aleph. And then the 4th, what's at 3 o'clock?
What's the Masechta?
Brachos.
Oh, bro.
Brachos Daf Hey Amud Aleph. And sometimes, so this is number 4, that the challenges that a person gets is something called a pidyon nefesh, that it will keep him alive, that he won't pass away. Things that will keep a person alive, it's called a pidyon nefesh, that he'll go through a certain challenge here. This is something that the Tikkunei Zohar speaks about. There's a very deep piece I wanted to maybe see with the Olam. That sometimes the Zohar says a person has to pay for things with his money, and that will keep him alive, and sometimes he has to pay with his life itself. So, as a pidyon, as like a redemption. That's a very deep topic, which will ultimately help him for the world to come. This is something called the Kroivei HaKadesh. This is something, a very, very mature topic. But we see that there is some benefit in the ultimate two-world reality. I'm always reminded of a story with the Rebbe Riatz of Lubavitch. So it's well known that over the generations, and this didn't start in Europe, but over the generations, it was illegal for many rabbis to teach Torah. But of course, we don't listen. And we teach Torah, because Torah has to continue. This is originally based in a Chazal, where Rabbi Akiva, the Romans had made it illegal to teach Torah. And Rabbi Akiva is sitting in the marketplace, mamish steiging it up at the Olam, Likutei Cafe, Befar Hesia. And he's approached, and he says, Rebbe, this is illegal, what are you doing? He says, there's a story of a fox who saw that the fishermen at sea were gathering on all the fish. So he goes over to the shore of the sea and he sees some fish and he says, hey fish, come up on dry land, you'll be safer with me. So the fish says, if in the habitat where we live, there's danger, whereas life-giving, we live in the water, Do you think we're safer if we leave the water? If we leave? They say that you're the cleverest of the animals. You're a fool. So Rabbi Akiva was saying, Torah is our habitat of life. You think we'll be safer if we leave the water?
Always safer with the safer.
Always safer with the safer.
Oh.
It's fire.
Wow.
Mamish.
Wow.
I heard that the first time from Reb Chaim Willig.
Oh.
Willig's son. So not Hashem is going to find a good shidduch b'korov. So, back to us. So the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, was approached by one of these mamunim of the Malchus. Said, Rabbi, we said you're not allowed to teach Torah. And he took a gun out and he pointed it at the rabbi. He says, we're going to kill you. So he says, if I was like you, who believes in one world and no God, and a gun, so I'd be afraid. But I believe in two worlds, one God, and no gun. And the officer was like, and that was the end of the story. Chabad lives on.
Let's go.
So to appreciate and understand that in a two-world reality, everything changes. Everything changes. So the Rebbe here says, a person who lives with this, you're actually already living in the world to come. You're tasting the world to come. Now, why is this an idea that everything is happening for the best is the world to come? So it's based on a Gemara. So the Gemara says, famous Gemara, the Gemara says in Brachos, that a person is chayiv levarach ala ra kashem shemavarach ala tova. And this is Paskin in Shulchan Aruch. A person is obligated to make a blessing on difficult things, on ra, the way that he makes it on something good. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? You can't really do that. It's not the same bracha. So it says, you're right. In this world, you make the bracha when something good happens of hatoiv ve'ametiv. When something good happens to you, you say hatoiv. You, God. Hatoiv. Good. The good. You are the good. Umetiv. And you good, you bestow good. But when something bad happens, what do you say? We call it bad.
Dayan.
Baruch Dayan Ha'emes. You're the true judge. Which means you know that this is for the best. Now, what does it mean you're supposed to make the same bracha? The Gemara seems to say that you can't really do that. You make two different brachas. So the halacha is you have to make that bracha of Dayan Ha'emes with simcha. The lashon of the Torah in the Shulchan Aruch is B'das shleima v'nefesh chafetza, with full awareness and a nefesh chafetza, with a soul that is connected and yearning and aware that Hashem, this is your plan. Drake said it, God's plan. To make that bracha, even Dayan Ha'emes, with simcha. With simcha. Now it's interesting, the Gemara says in the world to come, it's only atoiv v'ametiv. Why will we not make the bracha anymore of Dayan Ha'emes? Because in the world to come, you'll see that all the things that you thought was ra was really l'toiv asay. It's for this person's good. In this world, though, we don't see that. When a person passes away, lo aleinu, we make the bracha of Baruch Dayan Ha'emes, the true judge. And you don't tell a person who's sitting shiva, this is all the best, this is the best thing for you. You say Dayan Ha'emes. This is part of God's plan. In the world to come, though, our eyes will be opened up and we'll see the whole plan. What Reb Nachman is telling you is through the technology of this Torah, I'll give you a little bit of Olam Haba eyes, even in Olam Hazeh. That even when you're making the broken dynamics, you see that there's a plan here. Yeah.
I think that when you ask the question, what the good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people, it may be difficult for the good people to see that the path they're on is anything but a punishment, because they realize that the bad people are getting all these good things and the good things aren't coming to them. But I think the path is more opportunity. It's less of a punishment. You have to. The thing is, good people work for it. Bad people just receive it.
Beautiful. We have to help people understand a two-world reality. This is very important. Jews, non-Jews, the whole world. To help people understand the two-world reality. Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba. Yeah, Moshe.
What are the mechanics of, let's say someone is a bad person and they get good things to do them as a kapara, and then they do tshuva, do they keep both?
Yeah, Bezrat Hashem, this is all about tshuva. The Gemara says when a person does tshuva, so what happens? Zedainis nasaloi kazachias. All those bad things, he essentially transforms, he rescues, he does an extraction, he removes the spark of holiness that was there and transforms it into something good.
At that point, do the good kaparas, or the good in this world kaparas, flip into...
It could be, because maybe he's tipped now. If he tips, not pasha. That's why sometimes when a person starts on his journey of avodas Hashem, all sorts of challenges come up. Yeah, Hillel.
So what's the term Gamzu Torah based on?
I was thinking that.
This.
So,
Gamzu l'Toiva. This is exactly this.
as in, but so then are we thinking like that in this world as well?
We want to. We want to be able to do that. He was at the highest level where he was doing that. Right? The whole story of Rabbi Akiva, and he was he wanted to get to the city, but he couldn't, and he was encamped in the forest, and then his candle went out, oh, he can't say anything, and then his chicken died, and his donkey, and everything. And then I was like, oh, Gamzu l'Toiv, Gamzu. And then what happened? Exactly then, a group of shoidedim, robbers came into the city, and they ran inside, and they didn't see him because the candle went out, and the donkey wasn't making noise, and the chickens weren't chickening. So the whole thing was Gamzu l'Toiv. What? Meaning there it was a high darga, that this is good. This ultimately saved his life. This was for the good.
Why did Hashem have to make the robbers come in the first place?
Okay, but that's part of Hashem's cheshbon. Kapara, tshuva, harbo schar, boilam haba, pidyon nafshoy. So then he quotes an amazing verse from David HaMelech. An amazing pasuk from David HaMelech.
Best Orthodox rabbi.
The greatest Orthodox rabbi of all time. At least up there.
Up there.
It's amazing. People forget that. It's amazing. The whole world, all of humanity loves the Psalms of King David. They just don't usually recognize that he was an Orthodox, Talmud learning rabbi.
He wore a shrine.
I don't know, shrine, maybe a spotted. Or maybe more of a Bubba Sa. He wore a crown, I'm saying. I'm saying that is the shrine.
He was wearing flowy robes.
So he's wearing a black hat.
No.
Yeah.
He was not a pig.
No.
He was not.
Black hat, beard, painted.
It's the answer to Shmai.
He was definitely wearing this. No, he was
He was definitely wearing tefillin.
He was wearing.
And he was wearing a Sefer Torah on his arm.
He was wearing white.
the harp come from?
With a harp.
Yeah,
With a harp.
With a heart.
Okay.
Same Torah.
So, David HaMelech says an amazing, amazing pasuk, which also starts unlocking a big part of the Torah. And it's good to pay attention because these two words, we're going to start, this Torah actually goes a lot into Shemus. Goes into the names of God. And gets us, if we were to learn the whole Torah, Al Pi Kabbalah, there's two main Shemus that come up in this Torah. Two of the 7 names of God that cannot be erased, that are major parts of this Torah, And they're quoted in this verse of David HaMelech, Kamoisha Kosov, it says in Tehillim 56, verse 11, Bahashem, in Hashem, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, Ahalel Davar, in Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is the midah, is the way that God relates to the world with absolute compassion. Absolute love, compassion. It's referring to God as existence, Haya Hoiviviyeh, above time, above space. When you swim upstream, Yud Kei Vav Kei becomes more luminescent. So David Melech says, Ahalel Davar, Ba'ashem Ahalel Davar. In Yud Kei Vav Kei, I praise the word. That which is emanating from Yud Kei Vav, that would seem obvious. Of course. Everything is coming, it's good. Hashem is the Toy, Ve'ametiv, Hashem, you're so good. Then, Belokim, Ahalel Davar. Nishpat, Din. We're going to go in a long description of these two names throughout the Torah. When it comes to Elokim, which means when you see challenge, Tzimtzum, when you see Hateva, when you see a person stubbing their toe, getting their bike battery stolen, when you see challenge, or worse things, God forbid, Lo Aleinu. David HaMelech says, I also praise the word of Elokim. That seems fascinating. So what do we see? That David HaMelech had gotten to a point where he sees that if God is relating to me through Yud Kei Vav Kei, I praise you. If God is relating to me through Elokim, remember, did David HaMelech have an easy life?
No.
He had a very difficult life.
It's hard in the Philistines.
Being hunted
His family.
by his own family, starving. He's David HaMelech.
Wow.
Still
And he just sang to God the whole time.
Tehillim was written prior. Tehillim was written.
Well, he was doing Chazara like never seen before.
Yeah, Chazara Mamish.
I mean, I don't know.
Never stopped learning.
I don't know.
And he was
I don't know from.
the king,
I don't know.
running the entire government of Israel. And whenever he would hang out at like these, G7 summits, G20 summits, and he's by Davos over there. So all the bigwigs over there are like, let's talk about all these grandiose, taking over the world. David HaMelech would sit in the corner, like learning a Gemara. Like, David, you're,
How did he have Gemaras back then?
you know what I'm saying.
In his mind.
He's learning Rabbi Akiva Eiger. He's learning Mamish Shas.
I'm curious what he was actually learning.
So he would sit in the corner and they'd be like, David, you're a player over here in Davos. You want to present to the World Economic Forum your thoughts. He's like, Ba'ashem alav davar, ba'alakim alav davar. I'm like, let me get back to my chavrus over here with Eli Hanavi. Like,
Was that his Carusa?
Pasha.
Oh,
He wasn't interested in. He was the king, but he said, I'm just a Pashat Schlepper. You know who the king really is? Hashem, you're the king. I'm just your servant. David Avdi. Like Hashem said, David, my servant. David HaMelech said, Ani toila ve'ena ish. I'm like a worm. I'm not even a man. You're the king of Israel. You're the mightiest human being to maybe ever live. You're taking down lions and bears with your bare hands and with the names of God. You're a boss, David. Hashem's the boss. That was his whole message. So David HaMelech had achieved such a high level that everything is from you. He's the absolute Baal Emunah. He's living. He's the symbol of Emunah. That's why all of Tehillim is really a code book for Emunah. So David HaMelech saw that whatever the Hanhaga that Hashem was bringing. Whatever he was experiencing, whether it was from the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei or from the name Elokim, he said, this is all from you, Hashem. And I'll praise you through that. Which means who was already living in a bechin of Olam Haba? David HaMelech. David HaMelech was living in a world of Olam Haba. The Zois HaBechina, and this level of being able to experience that the name of Elokim, Hashem relating to us in a way of din, and Hashem relating us in a way of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, as mamish the same, our friend Rav Moshe Gersht wrote a best-selling New York Times book called It's All the Same to Me.
With the tree on it?
With the tree. The little one that they sell like in the airports.
These are Machos, right? Yeah.
Could be he's associated. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's all based on also Shavisi Hashem V'Negdi Tomid, that I put Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in front of me always, also David HaMelech, meaning to say, even when I seem to think it's Elokim, this is one of the deep parts of the Torah, Elokim is really just an emanation of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei.
Very gracious, gracious Ra Elokim.
Oh, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to it. It says 32 times.
It's not just, I was realizing that's a plural word. Why would it, if it's something describing God,
because that's the multiplicity.
It's showing Hashem's domain over the other forces.
That's right.
He's just the king of all the forces.
That's right. So don't get caught and lost in the sauce of all the forces. Know that there's an Elokim running that. But even there, it still feels like din. So David Melech saw that Elokim and Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is mamish one. Hashem hu ha-Elokim. What do you scream out on Yom Kippur? But Elokim, Hashem hu, that's right. Hu Elokim. What you think is Elokim is all Hashem. And we're going to pick up at this next week. Hi me'ein olam haba. And this is already olam haba. A person who's living with this is living in olam haba. Kamoisha amru. Chachameinu zechoin levracha. Like the Gemara says in Pesachim, this is an important Gemara in this Torah, based on the verse in Zechariah, Yud Dalet 14, verse 9. Bayoimahu Yashem echad u'shmo echad. This is such a messianic pasuk. And on that day, on the day of the Messiah coming, that God will be one and His name will be one.
It's the last bit of the second paragraph of the Vedic.
That's right. V'hikshu. And the Gemara says, the Talmud asked the question, based on the verse in Zechariah, V'chi ha'idna lav hu echad? What do you mean? Now he's not one? Isn't the entire base of our emunah Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad? What do you mean? And on that day, he will be one. What do you mean that day? He's not one now? V'tertzu chachameinu zechroim livracha. And the Jewish masters of the Talmud answer the following. Ha'idna, now, at this time, it appears that Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, is one hanhaga of compassion. And it appears when Hashem relates through Elokim, din, it's two different things. It appears as two separate things. There's Hashem relating to me through good. And then there's Hashem relating to me through din. There's Hatoy V'Nativ is one bracha. And there's Baruch Daina Emes is another bracha. It appears it's two separate hanhagas. But by Yoimahu, and on that day, we will realize that even when Hashem is relating through Elokim, it's also good. And therefore, mevarchem ala toiva nativ ve'ala ra daina emes. But on that day, ula asid, in the Messianic era, kuloi hatoiva nativ. We're going to see that everything was atoiva nativ. Everything was atoiva nativ. Yes, Andrew.
Will we, in that time, will it just be that we have complete clarity deep, deeper than ourselves, pure das, that when Hashem relates to us through both ways, it's all for the good.
All Yud Kei Vav Kei.
And will Hashem just not? Will Hashem still relate to us through Elohim, and will
You'll see that Elohim is Yud Kei Vav Kei.
Elohim's the journey.
So it will be like an
beautifully said.
So in the moment, it will be like an enjoyable thing.
You'll see it's all for the best. It's all for the best. But you really to understand it, I would say in a very mature way, is essentially what we're going to really get is how Elohim is emanating through Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's really where we're going with this. And then, just finishing this section, Sheyeshem Hashem v'Shem Elohim Achdus Echad. It's going to be one Achdus. This is called a Yichud. What do you think the tzaddikim do all day? They do something called Yichudim. They're always making unifications. So they're sitting there with Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elohim, and they're unifying. They're unifying Elohim and Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yeah, hello.
Does this mean we can't attain this level today?
He said, as long as you can Kishad Miyodeah, Shekol Me'oiros Tem L'Toivasai, that's a Bechina. You're already a Me'ain. You're already, essentially this Torah is trying to bring you into Olam Haba already now. Torah Me'ach Chaim Zachu.
Rabbi, when we daven, we say Shem Hashem Ad Hashem when we read Yud Kei Vav Kei. Is that like making a yichud?
Yes, that's the Shem Adnus. Shem Adnus and Elohim are very connected. We'll get more into the differentiation between.
So pushing a schlepper like me is making yichud?
Yeah, Pashit. We're doing it right now. Even this is called a yichud. Discussing this, these are called yichudim.
People think it's like only like for the Kabbalists, but it's for everybody.
It's Pashit.
You said that it's like bringing Olam Haba down.
Yes.
Bringing it up. Do you think it's more like bringing it down? You know,
It's called Mata Mala Mala Mata.
So I was told that when Mashiach comes, Rosh Hashiva said this. He said the view will be better from down here.
Dora Mala Dora Mata.
By down here, I mean, if you get the
Yes, because you'll see Hashem in this world, in a perfected version of this world. That's why the tzaddikim, there's going to be a resurrection for the special tzaddikim in the times of Mashiach. There's two resurrections, not in the times of Mashiach. The second resurrection is for
When's that going to
after the 1,000 years of Shabbos Kodesh.
be?
That's Olam Haba Mamish.
I mean, I have a theory. My theory is that we're all going to live 1,000 years. Generation of Mashiach. It's going to go back to how it was the first 1,000 years.
Now, what's the concept of it? That there must be a Mashiach before.
Mashiach's going to come before the year 6,000.
Before the year, and then for the next 1,000 years, it's Shabbos.
Shabbos, but it says Shabbos, the world has to go through a transformation. Not regular Shabbos like we think. It's Shabbos in its makor, which means it's a returning.
It's a state of being.
It's a state of being, and the world's going to have to be transformed. The Derech Hashem goes into this in tremendous detail. So Rabbi Yisrael, we should be Zoycha Mamish. We're afoot in the Torah B'siyat D'Shmai. Hashem, open up our hearts, open up our minds, open up the hearts and the minds of the nation, open up the hearts and the minds of humanity, to know that Hashem Hu Elokim Ein Oid Milvadoi, and to know that Kol Me'oirosav, Kol Me'oirasi, Kol Me'oirasenu, Kol Me'oiras Ha'olam, Hein L'Toivasai, L'Toivasi, L'Toivasenu. We should be Zoycha Mamish to the biggest Goyal Tzedek that Mashiach will come. We're going to see Mamish Ein Oid Milvadoi. Hashem Elokim may it come speedily in our days. Amen ve'amen. Amen. Avashreinu matno elkeinu manayim go'ad. Oy, Ashreinu matno elkeinu. Oy, manayim go'aleinu. Ashreinu Alle get the Sachen.
On a journey.
Shalom, Kate. Welcome to the